Hey everybody, it's time for my video. It's time for my late, out of date Disney Channel 2000 Disney Channel 2020's new episode review and react webcam review and reaction. Depending on the quality of the episode intro. Depending on the quality of the episode, it will be either on camera. If it's a really good one, it will be on camera. If it's, my opinion, weak or terrible, it will be off quote unquote camera. This is for 2020's Disney Channel shows. The first is Secrets of Sulphur Springs, which premiered in 2021 and it's about to start its third season. I would have done seasons 1 and 2, but I was mad with the cancellation of my favorite shows, and as such I didn't really get a chance to really get into this show, which is a darn shame because the show is pretty good. The second is this is the weakest of the 2021 shows, and that's The Villains of Valley View, which premiered last weekend. This is the weakest of the Disney Channel shows, in my opinion. Most of their stuff will be off camera because this is the weakest and worst, so far worse, of the Disney Channel shows, the 2020 of the new 2020s Disney Channel shows, and I might even say probably one of the worst and weakest of Disney Channel period. Now, then you got the next one, Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion, the Lucha Libre wrestling crime fighting television series. This one is much better, and in my opinion is one of Disney Channel's best new shows. According to Comet, is so far this show and along with Villains of Valley View, they represent the lowest rated views. They represent the lowest rated premieres of any shows, and in my opinion Disney Channel kind of deserves it. I hope Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion doesn't get grouped with the substitute that is Villains of Valley View, but you cannot shove these shows down people. You cannot cancel the shows we want and then shove these down people's throats. And I think that's one of the reasons why their viewership is so low, despite being premiering around the right time, which is the summer, which is the quote unquote summer. Yeah, and as such, I haven't really got into much of these quote unquote shows, despite how good these shows was, particularly Secrets of Sulphur Springs and the other show, because Disney Channel quote unquote shoved Disney Channel canceled the ones I wanted, Sydney to the Max, Coop and Cammy Astroworld, Gavin Renity and Citadels, and just roll with it in favor of these quote unquote shows. So as such, myself and I guess a lot of people didn't really watch or bother watching. They were invested in another cast. They were invested in the previous 4 shows I mentioned. They were invested in those characters and in those shows, and now you immediately try to you cancel those and try to shove a new generation down our throat, and then just ain't happening. Well, this is the intro. I'm only gonna have one quote unquote song. So with that being said, you don't hear the rest of the music. No. So get ready right now. Let's get it started.
This time
Hey everybody, it's finally time. It's finally time for another Disney Channel television series review, another full-length television season review broken up into two parts, and this is my review of this is my full-length review, overview, and rant of Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion, Disney Channel's newest show. This is the webcam portion. To see the short narration, intros, the first one on my Doug 8798 channel, which that will be uploaded late, Doug 8798 channel, and the one that's already uploaded on my Super Beta for 100 channel will be in the description box below. To see my various post-episode review and reactions of episodes 1 through 10, 11 and 12, 11, 12, 13, and followed by 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those links will also be in the description box below for those of you who want to see quote-unquote those. But this is the full-length review, overview, and rant. And like I said, despite how awesome this show was, yes, this will be a rant because, like I said in the short narration intro on my Doug 8798 channel, this was supposed to be me wrapping up and reviewing and overviewing season 1 and talking about what I want to see and what season 2 is going to be like. But as usual with Disney Channel nowadays, if a show nowadays, since Disney Channel gets low viewership, some of the lowest viewership it's ever been. When it comes to viewership, Disney Channel is worse than it's ever been. They're in the 0-point digits. Shows that are not established shows like Raven's Home and Bunk, which are both sequels and spinoffs to That's So Raven and Jessie, the 2011 series Jessie, respectively. If they're not those, or the super popular Zombies franchise nowadays, or a big-time Disney Plus franchise, the show is doomed to cancellation. No matter how awesome it is, no matter how big of a following it has, it's doomed to cancellation. Especially if it's a big-budget television series like this was. In comparison to the other shows, this was a big-budget superhero comedy. This was a Lucha Libre superhero comedy action-based television series. Even though this was a television series, it was filmed like a movie. It's a cross between the Marvel and DC cinematic and extended universes, followed by Green Lantern and Shazam with elements of Disney's previous Hispanic-based shows stuck in the middle. Gabby Randy and Citables and Wizards of quote-unquote Waverly Place. That's what this show, of course, is. But that's why that's what the rant part is. Everything else about the show was phenomenal, from the storytelling, writing, actors, actresses, comedy, humor, and my favorite part, the action, everything, action and quote-unquote drama. Everything about this show was awesome, was quote-unquote awesome. This show, like I said, brief history with this show. Oh, and by the way, for this portion right here, this is my review of episodes 1 through 10. The second part, 11 through 16, that will be next part. For this part, Lucha Rules, the mid-season finale. That will air in the background. In my opinion, one of the best episodes ever. So yeah, Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion. Like I said, brief history. First heard about this show in 2020. 2020 really didn't care much for it because at the time I was still into Sydney to the Max, Coop and Cammy Ask the World, Gabby Randy and Citables, and Just Roll with it. So I was excited to see it, but just didn't care much for it. But this was the show Scarlett Estevez, who was Gwen on Bunk, season 4. She left that show to star in this show right here, Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion, which at the time was Ultraviolet and real life pro wrestler, Mexican pro wrestler Blue Demon. But Blue Demon left the show, so it became Black Scorpion. Black Scorpion's way cooler. Black Scorpion's way cooler. However, 2021, more information about the show released, and this is when I started to worry, because this show, along with another show they debuted called Villains of Valley View, followed by all of their international-based television series, meant that this show right here was doomed to meant that the 3 shows that were still on, Singing to the Max, Gabby Duran and Just Roll With It, and Raven's Home and Bumped, 1 or 2 of those shows were doomed to cancellation, because Disney would probably not have room for all of these shows on their network. So I was worried, and then my fears will worsen when we get to the end of the year. At the end of the year, they would cancel Sydney to the Max, Gabby Duran and the Insidibles. Just Roll With It was already canceled earlier that year, 2021. But Gabby Duran and Sydney to the Max will be canceled, leaving only Raven's Home and Bunked, which were at the same viewership as Sydney to the Max and Gabby Duran. But because Raven's Home and Bunked were sequels and spin-offs to established shows, they were quote unquote fresh. They were quote unquote safe from cancellation. And Disney, they went everything in their power to make sure those shows had another season. Whereas with every other show that wasn't an established show, they just pulled the plug on the show instantly. I wish Disney would put that much more time and effort, that same time and effort and energy into shows that are new, instead of rehashing and constantly playing it safe and relying on nostalgia. Well, anyway, continuing. Then, finally, June 2022, we get here. And after watching the first superhero show, Villains of Valley View, a sorry excuse for a superhero show and sitcom, this show came on next, Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion. And I'm glad that I didn't let the cancellation of Sydney to the Max, Gabby Duran, and Just Roll With It ruin my enjoyment of this show. This show alone was better than all 4 of those shows combined. Singing to the Max, Cooper, Cammy Astroworld, Gabby Duran and Insidibles, and Just Roll With It. And it made up for their cancellation. What's better than all of those 4 awesome shows? A Lucha Libre superhero comedy action television series. That's better than all of those. And as a real life superhero costume neighborhood watch guy myself, this is the perfect show. This was the perfect show to come home from patrol, to come inside from patrol, to watch. I always tried to watch it when it was on, even when it was a rerun. Even now in reruns, I'm still gonna tune in to quote unquote watch. It was the coolest and greatest show of all time. Yeah, like I said in the part 1 narration, and each episode was better. Each episode was better than the last. The show, like I said, stars Scarlett Estevez as one of the main characters, and lead character Violet Rodriguez, who she lives in the shadow. She lives in the shadow of her successful. She lives in the shadow of her successful brother Santiago Rodriguez, who is Brandon Rosal from a short-lived Disney Channel television series called Fastlane, and I know him from the Sydney to the Max episode Crush Hour as Jake. I was also happy to see him. I was disappointed that he wasn't a superhero. She lives in the shadow of her successful brother and her successful family. I keep forgetting what the father does, but he's the stereotypical sports He's a stereotypical sports loving dad who is, since this is a Mexican based show, instead of it being football, basketball, he's a huge lucha libre wrestling, Mexican wrestling, quote unquote fan, and the mom is the principal of their school, which I think is Delawre's High School, something like Delawre's Middle School, something like that. Keep forgetting what the middle school was called, but yeah. What else about this show? What else about this awesome show? Oh yeah. And one day she while sleeping, she gets crushed. She has a dream of being crushed by a giant mask and encounters the mask. The mask chooses her. The mask chooses her, just like the Green Lantern ring chooses the said user. And just like Shazam, it gives her powers. It gives her quote unquote. The mask comes with its own unique set of quote unquote powers. As she gets superhuman speed. Like the Flash. She seeks out already famous superhero Black Scorpion, who unknown to her is her uncle. One day, before that, they try to set up a special dinner, and she hopes her uncle Cruz de la Vega, portrayed by J.R. Villarreal, something like that. I think that's his name. They want him to come. He can't make it. And one day, while out on patrol, Violet Rodriguez follows Black Scorpion home. And when Black Scorpion goes back to his hideout, which is a gym, he unmasks himself and is revealed to be Cruz, her uncle. And this is Violet's the first to figure out Black Scorpion's secret identity, and also to figure out why he's never at dinner, why he's never at any of their dinner meets or gatherings, something like that. And Black Scorpion, not knowing what to do, realizes that he didn't have anyone to guide him and teach him the ways of the luchador and the ways of the superhero. So he decides to teach Violet. He decides to adopt Violet as his people and teach her the ways of the quote-unquote superhero. Violet, now finally having a gift that is exclusive to her, that is sacred and exclusive to her, wants to break the sacred rules of lucha libre, and quote unquote unmask. In lucha libre wrestling tradition, unmasking is the ultimate sign of dishonor, and removing your mask for your own personal gain is following the path of the Rudo, the bad guy, when they're supposed to be technicios, good guys. It uses the laws of lucha libre professional wrestling, Mexican lucha libre professional wrestling, the tights, the mask, the costumes, the hair, everything. But they mix it and use it to enforce crime. Even though one episode did revolve around actual lucha libre Mexican wrestling that I'm about to get to. What else about this awesome show and series? Oh yeah, Ultraviolet. So yeah, the only person she tells is her best friend. Maya Martinez. Quote unquote Martinez, who accompanies her and assists her on various quote unquote missions. Her classmate at middle school. So yeah. In the first episode, Violet wants to unmask, but Cruz advises against it. Cruz then realizes that he can't stop Violet from unmasking. So Violet eventually decides she wants to be honorable and be a good guy. So she decides to keep the mask on. But comically decides not to end her live stream to the anger of Cruz. That's episode 1. Episode 2, which was even better, Violet Rodriguez wants to abandon her training and immediately go out and fight crime. But Cruz doesn't think she's ready, and tries to get her to practice more in the quote unquote gym. Violet continues to go out. Violet comes up with a plan to increase viewership likes on her social media platform and phone. She convinces Maya to accompany her on patrol to stop some kind of smuggling ring, weapon smuggling ring. I think that's what it was. Rings, and she starts off good, but then she get the numbers games gets to her, and she nearly gets killed, and the bad guys get away, and some of the bad guys get away, and Black Scorpion Cruz is forced to come in and deliver 2 powerful body slams to save the quote-unquote day, and Violet insists that she had it, and Black Scorpion tells her she keeps treating it like a game. She keeps treating it like a game, and that it's not a game, and that one day she's going to get hurt, and she doesn't know anything about being a superhero. And this is when Violet decides to quit being a superhero and throw the mask somewhere. However, she forgets that earlier she made a meet and greet with people, and some loyal fans of hers show up there, and one woman is missing her daughter. Violet saves her daughter from being run over, and learns what it really means to be quote-unquote a superhero. Then decides to go back to being a superhero, seeing that she inspired someone, and decides to start training. He goes back to the gym and starts training to become a superhero the right way. An awesome episode. Then you got episode 3, Lucha Royale, where Cruz, Violet are hanging out with the family at a big Lucha Libre wrestling match, and Cruz meets one of his old friends, Gigantes. But suddenly, 2 luchadors who are not scheduled to be there are there to cause trouble. Violet has to choose between spending time with her family, or quote unquote being a superhero and saving the day. One of the biggest hardships of being a superhero. You can't be in multiple places at one time. You can't be in every place at one time. It is not about where you want to be, it's where you have to be. That's the lesson in this episode. This episode was also exciting since it was Lucha Libre Wrestling. This episode had the most action and most fight scenes of any episode of Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion. One of the best of all times. Episode 4, another awesome episode where Violet Rodriguez and Maya have their very first fight. This was another awesome action-oriented episode. My favorite part of the episode where Black Scorpion fights a woman fights a woman with 2 powerful sticks. Named Eva Medora, something like that. I think that's her name. Medora, something like that. In 2 awesome street fights. One in the beginning on top of a building, and the next in Maya's front yard. Maya's where Maya's quote unquote front yard. Then you got episode 5. Then you got episode 5 where we finally get to meet another luchador, Duplico, a luchador who can split into multiple people and likes pulling pranks on people and has a history. And him and Black Scorpion has a history. Black Scorpion doesn't like working with him because all Duplico does is prank him and other quote unquote people, and then he pranks him throughout the episode. And so Black Scorpion at the end, when Duplico and Violet Rodriguez are in quote unquote danger and are surrounded, Black Scorpion at first doesn't respond to Duplico's messages, but then decides later to come and evens up the odds, and together they say that they defeat the weapons people, and at the end, Duplico gets under Violet's skin, who was defending him the whole episode by gluing her boots to the quote-unquote floor. But Black Scorpion does agree. He agrees not to be friends with Duplico because he's annoying, but agrees that he is willing to fight side by side by him. That he is a man of honor. He's willing to fight side by side with him for whenever he needs it. So that's episode 5. Then you have episode 6. Episode 6, where one of the minor antagonists of the show, Louise Leon, the antisocial hall monitor, who in this episode is an anonymous blogger who spreads hurtful and negative gossip about people, and Violet Rodriguez and Maya are looking to get down to it. Violet Rodriguez asks Black Scorpion for help, but Black Scorpion refuses because Luis Leon, what he's doing is mean, but it's not illegal. He's not a criminal. So Violet Rodriguez sneaks behind Black Scorpion's back and steals his password cracker and decides and use the password cracker to view everyone's personal accounts and stuff. They still find nothing. However, Violet Rodriguez discovered that's Luis Leon when Violet Rodriguez discovers that the villain they were fighting that week was using a special cloaking technology which makes him invisible, where he can only be seen and sensed by dogs. And together Black Scorpion and Violet Rodriguez save the day. This is where Violet figures out there's Luis Leon and blackmails him into closing down his blog, or she'll reveal his spicy salsa sessions, which is him doing a funny dance in the hallway. Luis Leon then becomes determined for the rest of the season to unmask Ultraviolet and unmask Ultra quote unquote violence. So that was episode 6, and at the end, the end was funny. Violet is busted by Black Scorpion for stealing from and disobeying him. So she was lucha grounded, which means back cleaning for several weeks without her quote unquote mask. Therefore, she have to manually do it. And then Violet says, "Are you serious?" And then Black Scorpion replies, "Do you want to do toilets? And then she says, "Bats it is." Then 7, Ultra Matchmaker, probably the weakest episode ever. The action sequences were good, but the main plot, it was finding Black Scorpion a love interest and setting him up with Katarina, who was later revealed to be the super anti-hero Cascada, who I'm about to talk about in a minute. That was the purpose of this episode. It was to find Crew's quote unquote date. This was weak. Episode 8, another great episode, much better. Luis Leon, in retaliation for Violet shutting down his blog, tries to quote unquote unmask him. Violet Rodriguez at first tries to appeal to Luis, and it appears to work with them bonding, but Luis Leon at the end pulls a 180 and lies and says Ultraviolet tried to injure him, turning the school against Ultra quote unquote Violet. Episode 9, Cascada, Katarina, who was quote unquote revealed in episode who was quote unquote revealed in episode 7, is revealed to also have a mask and be a special anti-hero. Cascada, who clashes with Black Scorpion, who is old school by the book. Cascada does her own things, sometimes assisting criminals, especially criminals who are in need, who are committing crimes out of a necessity and not necessarily because they want to commit crimes, because they're immoral people. And this clashes with Black Scorpion's tradition, and Black Scorpion bans quote unquote Ultraviolet from seeing Cascada's a bad influence on Ultraviolet, but Cascada thinks Black Scorpion is a negative influence on Ultraviolet because Ultraviolet is preparing her for a sheltered world. So episode 9. Then you got episode 10. Episode 10, the greatest episode ever, by opinion, which you're listening to in the background. You got episode 10, which you're listening to in the background. This episode right here features Violet Rodriguez, Ultraviolet disobeying Black Scorpion by continuing to hang out with quote unquote by continuing to hang out with quote-unquote Cascada convinces Ultraviolet about a special mission, to retrieve, about a special mission about some supervillains once again smuggling weapons or doing something. I can't remember what they were doing. I think they were smuggling weapons. Smuggling weapons. Anyway, Ultraviolet.
Gave up already, huh?
Anyway, the mission is going great till they encounter one supervillain. I can't remember his name, but one supervillain wearing a bizarre apparatus which grants him superhuman strength. Violet gets severely injured. And together, Black Scorpion and Cascada team up and take the villain out with Black Scorpion using his finisher, a giant energy punch called Scorpion Sting. The being can one of the coolest climaxes ever. And then Rodriguez apologizes, but Scorpion says no more, he's taking her home. And Scorpion at the end, they both reconcile again, with Scorpion realizing he's being too harsh and that he'll lift Violet's curfew and Violet. Meanwhile, in a subplot, Cruz, who runs a gym when he's not a superhero and works at Violet middle school. He one of the luchadors who's a loser gets inspired by Tiago, who is a fashion designer, who also wants to be a fashion designer, who designs and sketches a new costume for him, a new costume for him, quote unquote for him. At first, Cruz is angered by this because the wrestler who Tiago is helping, Cruz is the coach, and he's coaching Trick and teaching him to be a winner. But then when the wrestler comes back and gives Cruz the feedback of what happened, Cruz apologizes to Tiago because it turns out that Tiago's advice helped that guy, because that guy became a winner and became more confident in the ring. Also at the end, in the mid-season finale, Tiago figures out that Violet Rodriguez is up to something, and starts to suspect that Violet Rodriguez is Ultraviolet, because she's always late and always lying. So yeah, this wraps up episodes 1 through 10. The remaining six are next.
This does not make
my good friend volleyball, anime of all time. I've been waiting forever for the final season.
Hey everybody, it's time for my review. It's time for my review of the remaining 6 episodes of Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion to complete this series, this season 1 overview and rant. These are remaining 6 episodes. These episodes, in my opinion, at least the first 2, they weren't as exciting as the first 10, especially as episode 10. That mid-season finale would never be topped. But storyline-wise, these episodes serve their purpose. They continue the plot. They continue to resolve the plot from episode to episode 10, and the final three, especially the season and unfortunately the series finale, were the best. So you had the first one, Ultra Flake. In this episode, Violet Maya needs Violet Rodriguez for a big debate match against Luis Leon and some Asian guy. But Ultraviolet has to fight crime. Black Scorpion does the right thing and tells Ultraviolet to go to her debate match to fight and to help Maya, and that he has everything taken care of here. Violet Rodriguez thinks she can do both. She can fight crime here, take care of crime here, and then go on Maya's go to Maya's debate, but she told me wrong. Crime fighting takes so long that when she gets back to the debate match, it's over. Maya, it's over. Luis Leon had beat her, and Ultraviolet was a no-show, and Maya lectures and rips Violet Rodriguez apart for quote-unquote abandoning her. This leads to the end of their friendship. Most of this episode was okay up until the end. It ended on a cliffhanger where you would think Maya and Violet Rodriguez would reconcile their friendship at the end, but it wasn't like that. No, Maya refused to forgive Ultraviolet because Violet Rodriguez, because Maya, in her mind, she's always there for Violet. She's always there for Ultraviolet, Violet Rodriguez, and Black Scorpion. But this one time, Violet Rodriguez chose Black Scorpion and Ultraviolet over her, and Maya was hurt. I see it from Maya's point of view, but Maya had to understand Violet Rodriguez's jobs and duties as a superhero, and that even though she has superhuman speed, she can't be in two places at once. Then you got episode 12, which was the direct continuation of this, where Violet Rodriguez tries to do everything in her power to get Maya to quote unquote forgive her, and one day she tries to get in the bond. She tries to group up with Maya for a project. Violet Rodriguez keeps trying to remind Maya of the good old days when they were friends, and tries to do everything but the project. So Maya gets fed up with Violet Rodriguez and requests a quote-unquote partner change, and Maya gets switched out with Luis Leon. So Ultraviolet and Luis Leon are now partners. And here, while talking and bonding with Luis Leon, one of the many times Luis Leon, who's one of the worst characters, that's his signature. Luis Leon is the worst. He saves the day by making Violet Rodriguez realize that she was being vain, arrogant, and narcissistic, and antisocial and demanding, like Luis Leon. Then she discovers what she has to do, and she gives Maya her space, and then Maya eventually comes around and forgives her, and everything is quote unquote resolved. And the next episode is High Anxiety. Maya, this is one of the greatest episodes. Ultraviolet. This episode, there wasn't much action. It was mostly psychological. The whole thing was, and it showed, this episode, the moral of this story shows you the danger of constantly keeping too many secrets and keeping things bottled up for multiple years, and how they can lead to ugliness and festering and just terrible things later. The whole purpose of this episode, Violet Rodriguez, quote unquote, is being fed with keeping multiple secrets, such as Cascada her secret that she's black, that she is Ultraviolet, and Cruz's secret that he is Black Scorpion, and the other secret that she figured out in the previous episode, that Cascada is Katarina, Cruz's girlfriend.
But secretly she's plotting a way to reclaim.
It is here where Ultraviolet, she gets into a dream, she gets into a nightmare that's controlled by Luis Leon. Yes, Luis Leon, via dream sequences, once again the main antagonist of this episode. Luis Leon tortures her in her own dream. So does Cascada. So does quote unquote Cascada. So quote, leading to various scary scenarios. You have to see it for yourself. Various scary scenarios. That is up until what happened next. That is up until Ultraviolet. That is up until Ultraviolet realizes that it's her dream, and she turns into Black Scorpion and finishes off Louise and escapes the dream, and in real life wonders what she has to do, and the secret that she has to reveal. And that's the secret, and that's the secret she has to reveal, and that's the secret she has to reveal to Black Scorpion. She has to reveal to Black Scorpion that Cascada is Katarina, what she does. Black Scorpion looks like he's disappointed, but he's he's happy that Violet told him and that he knows the truth now. Things get more awkward with Katarina meeting them in person at the end of the episode. And at the end of the episode, because of miscommunication, because of different viewpoints on something, the cashier is fired from her job. Violet Rodriguez's mom fires the cashier from her job because she was stealing lunch money from students. Katarina, who's been in poverty herself, and understands that you can't keep a school, you can't survive on a school salary. School salary is angered by this, but Cruz thinks it's the right thing because it's true, but your morals come first, and it's morally wrong to steal from anyone. It's morally wrong to steal from anyone who worked hard for what they had, and this is where they decide to break it off. They decide to quote unquote break it off. In the next episode, that's the next episode. Luis Leon won't go home. That plot takes place in this episode. I'm about to talk about Luis Leon. Throughout the episode, Luis Leon comes to Violet Rodriguez's house. Violet Rodriguez and Maya wants to watch anime. That's the episode that's playing in the background. Maya wants to just watch anime. Luis Leon is there, and he's bonding with the family. Violet Rodriguez thinks Luis Leon is trying to find out who Ultraviolet is, but it turns out Luis Leon, and she angrily kicks Luis Leon out. However, the family lectures her over and reveals that Luis Leon is hanging out with them because he doesn't spend time or get along with his family. He just because he's antisocial. He just wants what it feels like to be around a family. So it is here where Ultraviolet invites Luis Leon back, apologizes, and invites him back in. But at the end, it's revealed that Luis Leon is also there for that reason too, and reveals that he is tracking Ultraviolet's move, and nearly figures out the secret that Ultraviolet is Violet Rodriguez and Black Scorpion is Cruz, because they see a picture of Cruz and Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion at Cruz's gym, increasing their suspicions. Then episode 14, Cape Night. Cruz is trying to bond with Cruz is trying to cope with his breakup with Catalina, so he creates a cool cape. Which not only makes them a laughing stock, but it gets in the way. Yeah, I understand this rule too. I love capes when I was younger. I still love capes. But like the Incredibles movies, like Enda from Incredibles said, no capes. No capes, really. That's actually true. They get in the way. And especially if you ever did fight crime or get into a fight, someone can just grab the cape. Or if you're trying to chase after someone, it can get caught, which happened in this episode. So Violet Rodriguez tries to get Cruz to lose the cape till she accidentally tears it. She sees what the cape means to Cruz, and that Cruz wears the cape not only to cope with his breakup with Catalina, but to also cope with his breakup, to cope up with his to remember the good old days of his happy days when he was a luchador. When he was a luchador, and at the end, they both wear capes into battle and successfully clean house and fight crime. That was the best part of the episode, by the way.
Training has prepared us for this very moment, and I know just where to start.
16 episode, the final episode of Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion. Ultraviolet versus Black Scorpion. One of the greatest season and series finales of all time. The only problem I have with this is that, it left you wanting more, and Disney just canceled the show right after this was over. And this awesome episode right here in this awesome episode right here, Violet Rodriguez. In this awesome episode right here, at the end, Black Scorpion is seen on patrol, infiltrating a building. The guy thinks he's just there to fight crime, but it turns out Black Scorpion is there to steal, and he beats up the guy and steals something. The next day, it's reported on the news that Black Scorpion stole something, and Violet Rodriguez tries to get to the bottom of it. It turns out Cruz has a headache and can't remember anything. Meanwhile, when Violet and Cruz go on patrol again, they encounter the bad guy. And that's the bad guy, and the main mastermind behind this is a super villain and guy with a mask known as Hypnosis, something like Hypno, something like that. Hypnotico, that's his name. Hypnotico, who hypnotizes Black Scorpion into committing crimes and into fighting quote unquote
He doesn't know anything. Holy totally knows something. Did you see this?
into fighting Ultraviolet, right when Black Scorpion is about to kill Ultraviolet with his scorpion scheme. Catalina Cascada comes in to save the day. Cascada comes in to quote unquote, Cascada and Duplico come in and save the day after both of them fail to beat Black Scorpion. Violet gets through to Black Scorpion and makes him overcome the hypnosis by taking off her mask, revealing to both Duplico and Cascada who Ultraviolet is, and she figures out that Violet Rodriguez is Ultraviolet, and that Black Scorpion is Cruz. And then Black Scorpion finishes off Hypnotico, and the four agree to a special what I think was brunch, a special eat out, a special night out where they will clear Black Scorpion's name. And everything seems to be resolved until quote unquote Tiago goes upstairs and finds Violet Rodriguez's mask and angrily lectures her and asks is why she's lying, and tells her to put it on, and the episode just ends there. The episode just ends with a shock Violet Rodriguez, and that's how the show ends. I hate that they only ordered 16 episodes. They should have at least ordered 18 or 20 to at least resolve the other two plots, and that was clearing up Black Scorpion's name and clearing up his name, and also the other dude, Tiago reconciling and accepting that his sister is Violet Rodriguez and understanding why she had to lie to him. We'll never know, because Disney once again announced another cancellation just after 16 episodes. Canceling this show because of low viewership and because of its expense. It was expensive, and the second one is the biggest one, because the low viewership is bogus, because all of their shows have low viewership. They're in the 0 point digits. Only the Zombies franchise on Disney Channel, and another franchise called Upside Down Magic got higher than that.
The only thing you'll be fueling with that stolen gas is your criminal record.
So, yeah, this has been my overview of Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion. Another awesome show canceled. Another awesome show canceled because of low rate, because of quote unquote low ratings. There will be a video commentary review in the future, but for now, this is right now the webcam, off-camera webcam, quote unquote version. What a phenomenal series this was.
You're such a Boy Scout.
What a phenomenal series. This quote unquote was. Yeah, man, I'm mad that it's over. To watch this show, the links will be in the description box below. Alright, you want to hear the rest of the music? Turn the video off right now.
Just know there are people that care about you. No, Mom.
So much